assignment that you're doing in life, whether it's with just school, career, and the season that you're in is extremely important because then it will help you understand how do you dedicate your time. And so it was not an easy journey, in the beginning. Like I've had two jobs before the work, at that time when he was working like three jobs, and it was so like just hurtful to see him because he was working so hard and he will barely sleep. He had a security job at a methadone clinic in the morning. He had to be at like at 5 in the morning, and then he would go to the gym after, and then after that he got a security job at a club or something, just to provide for his family. And so the seeing all of that and just knowing that, there's greater for him, I made a decision that I was going to support him in any way possible. Now, it was a little bit easier in the beginning, when we first moved together, because at that time, we had one kid in the home primarily, and our other kids will come, like every other weekend, or so. But then in 2018, that kind of shifted, and that shifted in where three of the kids came to live with us. So then we went from having one kid primarily in the home to four kids primarily in the home. And my first job I was working when I first moved back to New Jersey was a program coordinator at a psychiatric rehabilitation group home. And what that program was, when they came out of the psychiatric hospital, that was like their midway point to help them gain skill set to be able to live on their own again. And at that time, daycare prices were so high. So it was like, I can't, keep working and I have the children, and all the money is pretty much what daycare will be for all of them.
Yeah.
And so it didn't make sense at the time. So I spoke to my husband. We made a decision for me to leave that job and just focus on the kids, because our kids needed us. So sacrifices come along with being a parent, there's certain sacrifices you have to make. So I left that job and I was home with the kids. And then at that time, I used that time to study to get my master's, my license, and so that I could get a better job. And so when I got my license, I was able to get a better job that paid a little bit more. And then at that time, he was a little bit better in his career with what he was doing. And so we were able to kind of navigate our schedule where it's like, all right, in the morning, I go to work, he drop the kids off and then he's able to pick them up. And then when I come home from work, he go and do what he's supposed to do. So we coordinated with our schedule. However, he was not traveling at the time. And so again,
Like he is
so
now.
like every season there's a shift, there's a growth, and you have to figure out how to adjust it. Baby girl just woke up. Let me tell her dad to get her. I hope he sees it. And so with every season in life, there's a shift. You have to figure out how to kind of adjust to make that work for you and your family. And so we did that for a while until he got to the point where he was completely traveling. And then COVID was like really like the pivotal point for us. And when COVID came, again, the job I was doing at the time, I was working in home. And so we went to virtual. And so we started doing virtual therapy. And that's when like virtual therapy kind of took
Oh
off
my
after
goodness.
that.
Yeah,
Right. And so
yeah.
it made it possible for a lot of people. And so once that happened, like January of 2021, that job was talking, okay, we have to start going back home in homes. And I'm like, well, I have children. And I don't want to go into anybody home. Like if it's an office setting, it's okay because you can kind of control the setting a little bit more versus you going into somebody's home. So I was like, I don't want to pick up anything and bring it home to my children. And so we made a decision that I was going to leave that job and do something else. And so I started working from home. And I started working with agency to provide therapy virtually. And so that's how I've been able to, I mean, balance is the word that, people like to use. But when you're trying to balance, if that's your goal, you stress yourself out. So it's figuring out in the moment what is the priority and what needs the more attention, and pouring that attention on that, and then giving a little bit that you can somewhere else. And so with my work that I do, that was one of the sacrifice that we have to make that possible. I hope that
Awesome.
answered the
Oh,
question.
it did. That was thorough. One of these days, you're going to be doing a TED talk on YouTube. You're going to be one of those speakers.
Oh,
Oh
thank you.
man, Sister Winnell, want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule. I'm always rooting for the hardworking couples out there. Always rooting for my fellow West Africans. Continue blessings and success to you, your husband, and your kids and your family. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. I love what you're doing, and I thank God that these youths are being blessed. And I just wanted to share one last thing with them is when they're thinking about career and different things that they're doing, of course, look into the things that you love doing. If you are a person of faith, look into what God is calling you to
Okay.
do, and as well as choose something that allow you to be diversified, right? So like you mentioned social work, and one of the things I love about the social work career is in almost any field you can think about, there's a position there for a social worker. So it's not
Thanks.
limited to what you can do. You can
Thanks.
do the clinical work, you can do the policy work, you can work with the police. And so find something that will allow you to be able to diversify your skills where you don't feel like you're limited and stuck in the box. And so that's I wanted to share that.
Beautiful. Much appreciated. And continue blessings. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a blessed rest of your day.
So, bye.